Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Operation Freedom Briefings. The goal of these briefings and my weekly radio show, Operation Freedom, is to provide you information the bought-off, lamestream, fake media will not touch, will not present. You can join us every Sunday from 2 to 5 Eastern. It's free. It's live. All you have to do is go to davejanda.com, hit the Listen Live button, and tune right in. In addition, we have tremendous amount of information 24/7 on davejanda.com. We have a free public side where we upload information on a regular basis. And we also have our subscription side, a mere 30 cents a day. I believe one of the biggest bangs for the buck in all of the internet. $9 a month. You can sign up for a month. If you don't like it, get rid of it. Not sure why you would, because the information we present, you're not going to get from other sources. Just this past weekend, if you listen to what we did on our blowing open this issue of the missing $21 trillion, that's not the national deficit I'm talking about, the missing $21 trillion with Dr. Mark Skidmore and Catherine Austin Fitts, former Assistant Secretary of Housing and Urban Development under Bush 1, we outline what happened. Where did that money come from? Where did it go? Every person who has a pension, who has an IRA, a retirement 401 account, an investment account, is adversely affected by that missing $21 trillion, all available at davejanda.com. In addition, we have a new little piece we put out now every Friday called Dave versus the MSM. This is where I announced actually what we were going to talk about this past Sunday on the 21 trillion. We're going to be doing that every Sunday. It's 2 minutes. We put it out every Friday. I hope you'll come to our channel Operation Freedom here on YouTube to get more information on that. This week is a huge week for Trump, for freedom, for our country, for you, for me, for the rule of law. Just look at what's transpired and transpiring this week. On Monday, December 3rd, Jerry Corsi went to court, and I've had Jerry Corsi on the show in the past, but in particular his attorney, Larry Klayman, who I believe is, if not the toughest, one of the toughest attorneys in our country. Very brave, very courageous. He took Jerry Corsi's case, and they're in the process of filing collusion to commit treason charges against Mueller and his team. This is a huge blow, I believe, for the positive for the rule of law in this country. In addition, we had James Comey testifying closed door and on Monday, and by the time this YouTube is released, his transcript will be released. So the deal he cut, he wanted to testify in public. Why? That way they could not get into classified information with him. They would only limit their questions to 5-minute increments. Behind closed doors, anything goes. The agreement they cut is Comey's behind closed doors. There will be a transcript about his testimony. The classified information will be removed and will be released, and it should be released by the time this video comes out. In addition, we have Jeffrey Epstein, the pedophile, the guy that got that reduced plea. Oh, a good friend of the Clintons. Clinton on the log records, on the flight records of the Lolita Express, which is the flights that would go to Epstein's Island that was named Pedophile Island. Yeah, whose name was on that? Good old Billy Clinton. We wonder why he got a reduced sentence. Well, Epstein's having some more legal troubles, and that's happening this week. We have Loretta Lynch, former Attorney General under Barack Obama, going to testify in front of Congress. And then we have the granddaddy of them all, and that is on December 5th, Huber, the prosecutor from Utah, who was appointed by Sessions, who has been overseeing many of these grand juries across the country, is going to be testifying about the Clinton Foundation. This is huge. Now, interesting timing. George Bush I's death was announced on Friday, November 30th, at night, late. And it's been determined that when is his remembrance service? Right. The family and the deep state had it timed so that it would occur on when? Yeah, December 5th, the same time Huber is presenting information about the illegalities associated with the Clinton Foundation. Now, coincidence? Maybe. Conspiracy theory to think that, well, that's just a little bit too convenient, I'm not sure that's conspiracy theory. That just might be a little bit of analysis. Remember, and I'm not speaking ill of the dead. I believe that it's important, though, to speak truthful of the dead. George Bush, I believe, was a proud globalist. His track record is indicative of that. And I believe he was a globalist to the end, to the point where his death would be used to protect another globalist, that being the Clintons. When I first started my Operation Freedom radio show in October 2010, one of the first things I said, based on my experience of having dealt with a number of players in Washington at the time, was that the day Ronald Reagan left office in January 1989, every person who's occupied that office, Bush 1, Clinton, Bush 2, and Obama, are part of a syndicate that is not looking out for the welfare of Americans or Americans' freedoms. Blasphemous? I don't believe so. Truthful? I believe so. I take you back to the fact that as George Bush is president, in over 200 instances and speeches he gave, he mentioned about a new world order, the hallmark, if you will, of the globalists, their new world order. He spoke about that. Actually, not lovingly, but fondly. Go to YouTube. There's plenty of information out there in that regard. I played a clip during my show last week. In addition, George Bush, are you aware, signed off on Agenda 21, the UN directive that essentially strips freedoms from every person of the world, including every American. George Bush signed out on that. He was the one who brought it to our shores, Agenda 21. He also signed off on NAFTA, which was a globalist-induced policy arrangement. Ross Perot called him out on it. Remember Ross Perot when he was denigrated as being crazy, as being demented, when he said, this NAFTA is a bad deal. It's going to cause a huge sucking sound where manufacturing jobs leave this country. He was denigrated, all right, but guess what? Ross Perot was 110% correct. He was taking on the globalists. It's interesting. I went back and there was a phenomenal journalist when journalists were journalists and true and factually based and honest. Sarah McClendon, an icon in journalism, started her own news agency, became the White House correspondent from FDR all the way through Clinton. She was known, I can tell you based on my experience in Washington, as being very honest, very hard-hitting, in your face, but factually based. In December 1992, she asked George Bush a question. And here's the question she asked. His answer was remarkable, and I believe honest. She asked him, quote, to George Bush, quote, what will the people do if they ever find out the truth about Iraqgate and Iran-Contra? And here's what George Bush said, and I've confirmed this. Quote, if the people knew what we had done, they would chase us down the street and lynch us, end quote. I now take you to the campaign of 2016. And remember there was this interaction between Hillary Clinton and Matt Lauer, which she got mad based on some questions he was asking her. Might have been a bit of the beginning of the undoing of Matt Lauer. But after that was over, Hillary Clinton, as I understand it, from sources that were at this event, went on a tirade with her staff. And she became very concerned that Donald Trump was gaining ground. And she said, if that guy, I'll leave out the Hillary-esque language, if that guy wins, they're essentially going to hang us. Very similar to HW's response about if they figure out what he and his cohorts were involved with, they'd lynch us. You see, I don't think it's coincidence that his Remembrance Day is occurring on the day that the Clinton Foundation is being dissected in front of Congress. It's my understanding, based on my contacts, who I have known for many years, that have always passed on truthful information to me, they believe it's about to hit the fan. And the Clintons are going to get really splattered with the facts and the truth. Add to that something that was reported this past weekend. This from the Daily Caller. Not from CBS, NBC, ABC, but from the Daily Caller. Exclusive: FBI raids home of a whistleblower on the Clinton Foundation. The FBI raided the home of a whistleblower who was in possession of documents regarding the Clinton Foundation and Uranium One. The whistleblower, Dennis Nathan Kane, had turned the documents over to the Department of Justice's Inspector General, that would be Michael Horowitz, and both the House and Senate Intelligence Committees, according to the lawyer. The FBI rummaged through Kane's home for 6 hours, even after the whistleblower handed over the documents. The raid was permitted by a court order signed on November 15th, and the raid occurred on November 19th. By federal magistrate Stephanie Gallagher in the U.S. District Court for Baltimore. Interesting. Stephanie Gallagher is a magistrate, and she was recently put forward by President Trump for the position of a federal district court judge. So the question is this just more goon behavior against whistleblowers? I have an interview coming up on our platform, on our subscription service, davejanda.com, with two icons in whistleblowing, in particular from the NSA, Bill Binney and Kirk Wybie. I believe it might be one of the first times the two of them did an interview together. It's a powerful interview. But when I ran this information about this whistleblower getting overrun, and the same thing had happened to Bill Binney many years ago when Robert Mueller was director of the FBI. When Bill was a whistleblower for the NSA, one day his door got kicked in by the direction of Mueller, and the FBI agents had guns, at least a gun, to Bill's head. For doing what? For telling the truth. When I ran this information by Bill, here's what he responded. Dave, the system we currently have has to, at all costs, and with no shame, threaten anyone who thinks of exposing their evil acts. This is no different than the playbook of the KGB, the Gestapo, the SS, and many other secret police of dictators down through history. Bill. Well, let me give you a couple scenarios about this event I just spoke to you about. The Clintons are panicked. The deep state is panicked. Many people are panicked because of Huber and his testimony in front of Congress about the Clinton Foundation. I believe that testimony is scheduled to be behind closed doors. The vast majority of that testimony, I'm sure, will be classified. The vast majority of that testimony we might get hints of, but we'll never see the details about. But as far as this raid on this whistleblower, I believe there are several possibilities, and here's what I've come up with. One, Mueller got wind of this whistleblower, Kane, going to the Inspector General, essentially going around him, and mobilized a deep state contingent within the FBI to institute the raid. Second option, the right hand of our government, this would be hard to believe, does not know what the left hand is doing. In other words, incompetence. And the right hand didn't know that this guy was a whistleblower, that he just had documents in his possession, and that's why they showed up for 6 hours. Third option, the event occurred to send a message to the Clintons that, quote, you're screwed, end quote, and to send a message to those awake, all of us, that, look, folks, we know you're frustrated. We know you're frustrated that things aren't happening fast enough, but we want you to know that things are happening. And whistleblowers are, in fact, handing over very valuable information. Or it's all of the above. In other words, that Mueller and his underlings got wind that Kane had provided information to the Inspector General's office. It's my understanding that that transference of information occurred at a church near the White House with Cain in a hoodie handing back information, drives, thumb drives, documents to representatives that he had arranged to meet at this church from the Inspector General's office. So it could be that Mueller and his underlings, deep state players, got wind of Cain doing that, recruited some malcontents in the FBI. But because of the network of information that Team Trump has, they are aware of what Mueller and his team and deep state players were going to do, and they allowed the event to occur, to send the messages that I mentioned above. One, to the Clintons saying, you're screwed. And two, a message to all of those of us that have taken the time and the effort to become awake and not buy into the propaganda of the bought-off lamestream fake media, telling us, look, things are happening behind the curtain. We know you're frustrated. But the fact that there are whistleblowers ongoing handing over information about deep state players, it's important that you know that. And essentially the word is relax. We got this. We're going to know, folks. We're going to know this coming week. We have a lot on the plate. Comey, Lynch, Epstein, Horsey, Hoover. We're not going to have all the information at hand. We're never going to be privileged to have that information. But I believe that we're going to get some type of indication. If our freedoms are being restored, if the rule of law is being restored. If I had a vote right now, I believe a week from today, our freedoms will be enhanced. The rule of law will also be enhanced. Time will tell. I do believe, as I said before, we have a window that's closing. This month, not just this week, but this month is critical. It is absolutely critical, and Bill Binney will attest to this in the interview that I present next week. And next week, I'm going to present a little clip of that interview for you. I'm sure it's going to go about an hour and 20 minutes, the interview, but I'll find about 9 minutes, 10 minutes for you of some of the pertinent information. If you want the whole interview, it's available at davejanda.com. And that'll be next week. But I believe that Bill Binney and Kirk Wybie, based on the discussions I've had with them previously, are the firm belief that this month is critical and the declassification of those documents that I discussed earlier is critical. Without that declassification, I believe we are in a world of trouble. I do believe that many individuals that are in the Trump administration, including President Trump himself, are aware of the importance of that declassification and aware of the importance of the timing. I hope you'll join us at davejanda.com. The free side, the public side, the subscription side. 30 cents a day. Give it a try. If you don't like it, you can get rid of it after a month. I'm not sure why you would. Information we present you're not going to get from any other source. Until next time, this is Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thank you for your time today.